All right. Here we go. What's up, y'all? My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. Man, there's quite a few birds tweeting right here. That's fine, but let's tweak this a little bit. Okay. Blunt, bold, raw, and real as we do it in the Image Clothing Company style. Wow. Those birds, though, they might be a little noisy. It is what it is, all right? Today is the 27th of March, 2026. This is In the Image Clothing Company Poodles, one of our fours, where what we do is let dogs stay natural. Stemming from the main side of In the Image Clothing Company, where we allow the body to work for the human being, a lot of what we do here is talk about what's placed onto the dogs. We are a clothing company, but only because clothing is the only thing physically placed on us, so that we can get to the functionality of the human being. Our clothing has to stay centered, fit correct, and be made in all the ways we can from 100% natural materials. Otherwise, we are fighting our clothing. We're trying to work through our clothing, and our bodies are actually being damaged. We get chronic patterning built up in our bodies, scar tissue and bone spurs build up in the body when it's not allowed to track in line, trying to work around things like oversized clothing, imbalances in any kind of clothing in any way. And there's a lot in modern 2026. And then we have our clothing designs shipped across the entire planet Earth in ways we could have never had to happen in the past, okay, through technology. We've got ropes introduced to the body like shoelaces or drawstrings, and we can tie one side of a rope over the other and twist the entire body. So our bodies get into patterning. And this happens with the dogs as well. It's just the literal word of clothing, anything placed onto something else, the way that God clothes the fields with grass. Yeah, we're designed in the image of God, in the image of Jesus Christ. Here's your clothing company. Even glasses or jewelry, but regular clothing items for the human being. Tops, pants, shoes, socks, undergarments, you know, anything like this placed onto the body, hats or gloves. For the dogs, it's the same thing here on In the Image Clothing Company's Poodles. Wow. In the Image Clothing Company Poodles. With us specializing in purebred standard poodles, Dante here is a standard poodle, but us giving information that applies to all dogs on what we title as letting dogs stay natural. Collars, leashes, harnesses, bandanas, slip leads, anything placed onto or around the dog in any way is clothing the dog with something. And these things need to just not alter the dog. The importance of snug collars and keeping collars centered. 2 videos under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company, but that applies to both human beings and our dogs. We've just got even opposing musculature from the center line of our bodies and our neck, okay? And a center line to the body with Earth's center of gravity that's perpendicular with the horizontal surface to the Earth. A lot of this is just mathematics, mechanics, physics, just hinges, levers, and rotations, functionality in the body that can't be altered by placing something onto it that doesn't allow it to work. So there's a lot of what we do, but this video's title on In the Image Clothing Company Poodles is Why Poodles Get Mixed. Now, I want to really make a very clear distinction between, well, first of all, purebred dogs and mixed dog breeds. In the wild, which is where dogs always start, before we domesticate dogs and take them out of their natural wild environment, bring them into our modern man-made world that we then place onto God's natural earth. Yeah, wild dogs, we have pure breeds. That's how you can even say the word coyote, and it means something, or fox, and it means something, or wolf, and it means something, meaning we know what this is, we know what it looks like, we know how this dog grows, the temperament to it, how it generally acts and just is, because there's a pure breed. Wolves breed with wolves and have a litter of puppies. Foxes breed with foxes and have a litter of puppies. Coyotes breed with coyotes and have a litter of puppies. And any wild dog you could discuss, well, there's not very many wild dogs left because we domesticate dogs. And what happens is we as human beings choose what dogs we want to breed with other dogs to have a litter of puppies. So things like the breed of a poodle, like Dante here, the standard poodle, he's a rescue from the South Utah Valley Animal Shelter. This breed wouldn't even exist until we did this as human beings. Over generation and generation and generation of breeding dogs, we select which ones we want to have puppies, and we zero in on a new breed. We almost make a new breed. The dogs grow by themselves. God is just orchestrating everything. But we're the ones that decide which dogs are breeding each generation through selective breeding by human beings. So I understand, and this has to be seen, that any dog breed that's what we could say as new, like the poodle, it didn't even exist naturally. It essentially came from human beings, okay, from us selectively breeding dogs over generation and generation. And I understand this, but if this is done over quite a long period of time, you know, generation after generation, and relatively slowly and healthily, done as properly as we can to select healthy dogs, and yeah, really do it very intentionally, then this isn't a problem, really, okay? Because we can create, not really, but we can breed to a new breed of dogs that can be very, very healthy. Because we can have dogs actually live longer as domesticated animals in times and in ways taken care of properly, you know, through the health care that we have, then they could live in the wild. That is the case. That can be the case with dogs that are domesticated, and often it is. You know, we've got veterinarians, animal doctors, and they can really address health complications in dogs that wild dogs just don't get the opportunity to have happen. And then also we can do things through breeding to breed to good dogs. But in the wild, we have what's called survival of the fittest. And the healthiest dogs live. And then they breed with other healthy dogs, and then we get good, healthy puppies. And that's just how it works in the wild, because if they're not healthy and strong, they don't survive. And so that's how God just does what he does, and the healthy, strong animals live. And then that's how furthering good bloodlines of dogs just happens in the wild. But in our domesticated dog societies, we have a lot of unhealthy dogs in ways that couldn't have even have possibly happened if they just had stayed natural wild dogs, because we're choosing which dogs to breed with each other, or we're just having accidental puppies. Yikes. Accidental litters of puppies, you know, where dog breeds are mixing with a completely different dog breed and having puppies just because they happen to interact. Rather than in the wild, we've got dogs that stay within their packs. Wolf dogs, you know, wild wolves, they stay in a pack of other wolves with multiple wolves together. And this is how dogs are. They're pack animals. And so they stay within their pack and they breed within their breed. And then we keep purebred wild dogs. You just about never have a mixed dog in nature. It's extremely rare. You know, it's like having, when it comes to cats, a tiger or a lion mixing and you get a liger. You know, this happens, but it's very rare. This is the same with the dogs. It's very, very rare, and it's unhealthy in almost every case to mix dog breeds. But the reason for this video specifically, because we discuss this often under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles, when we advocate for the importance of purebred dogs for the health of dogs, that's something we talk about a lot, and we always just will where we do. This video specifically though, why poodles get mixed. Because out of all the dogs that get mixed with other dog breeds, poodles are one of, if not the most common and popular breed to mix with other dog breeds. Okay, I understand the surrounding sounds, like I addressed at the beginning of the video. It just is what it is. It's as if you're actually here with us and we're just having these conversations, right? So I stacked up these tumbleweeds for Dante to have some shade, and they're rocking back and forth in the wind. The reason the poodle gets mixed with so many other dog breeds, Well, there's a lot of reasons to it. The thing is, what happens when people mix dog breeds is it's one of two or one of a few different things, like I'm saying. Either it's an accidental thing. Let's say you've got a purebred poodle and your neighbor or somebody who lives around you or near you in any way, or just another dog that your dog gets to interact with, right, has a different dog breed. Now, if your purebred poodle gets around a different dog breed and your poodle is a male and the other dog's a female, or the other dog's a male and your dog's a female, just meaning opposite genders so they can have puppies, if they mix and get together and end up having a litter of puppies, that's one of the ways that this just happens. It's just accidental. You know, we, as the owners of the dogs, don't mean to have our dogs have mixed puppies a lot of the times when it happens, but it can just happen. Another reason this happens, though, is because people love two different breeds. Okay, so we've got one of the most common dog breeds, certainly one of the most popular and sought after dog breeds in 2026. Okay, for example, like I said, today's the 27th of March, 2026, is a golden doodle. But this truly isn't actually a breed. And I don't mean to be causing any kind of contention with anyone, because people love golden doodles. There's golden doodle breeders that try to do it as healthy as they can. And I do understand that no dog breed that we could call new existed until we mixed dog breeds to get to what we could call a new dog breed. I understand, but it's in the literal name. The name of this dog isn't its own breed. It's a golden doodle. It's two separate dogs, even in the name of the dog. Golden comes from the dog breed of a purebred golden retriever. And then doodle, the other part of the word of golden doodle, comes from a purebred poodle. So two pure dogs, even that, we discuss literal wording a lot under In the Image Clothing Company because there's a reason words are there. That's how we communicate, and they only mean what they mean in the ways that truth is just truth. We don't have some kind of opinion to start to, have a side to take on mixed dog breeds versus purebred dog breeds. But the truth is, it's unhealthy to mix dog breeds. In almost every case, there's health complications, at least slight ones to a degree, and things that just come with mixing dog breeds that are not great. Temperament problems, things you can't expect because you've got the temperament of one breed mixed with the temperament of another breed. It's not pure. What I'm saying with the literal wording is it's in the literal wording of a purebred dog. It's a pure dog. A purebred poodle is purely a poodle. A purebred golden retriever is purely a golden retriever. And now if we mix these dog breeds, even through the airplane noise, okay, let me wait it out for just a little bit here. It's kind of noisy, pretty darn noisy, really. Yeah. The thing is, there's no side to take. It's about the health of the dogs. And it's about how would this happen in the wild. The goal is natural on all four sides of In the Image Clothing Company. There's no opinion to what it means to have a natural dog. It's if we didn't step in the way as human beings and change the natural order of things, how God just has everything happen in the wild, and we've just got healthy animals because they have to be to live or else they die. It's harsh in the wild. The dogs have to be healthy to even survive. And then the healthy dogs that live have puppies. And then those puppies are healthy, and then they live if they're healthy and strong enough to live, and they have puppies, and those puppies are healthy. And that's just how it happens in the wild. There's no other option. Or they just die and don't get the opportunity to have puppies. But yeah, there's no side to take. Here comes the wind. And there goes Dante's shade. What happened to the shade, bud? The wind blew it over. Man, you start speaking real things and stuff like this happens. See what I mean? Right as I'm saying there's no side to take, because there isn't. I just know that people get really worked up about it because they love their mixed dog breeds. It's unhealthy in almost every case. And the word pure doesn't even exist in Golden Doodle. And I'm not just targeting one breed, or mix of breeds is really what it is. But anything like this that's a mix of two different dog breeds, it's not even a real name. And I'm not, you know, being mean, but we have to see it as it is. Good, Dante. Because it's only what it is. It doesn't even have its own name. It's two different dogs' names put together, and then you just explain that it's two different dogs here. That's this one dog. You know, it's mixed. So it's about the health. It really is. Because why poodles get mixed? The reason I'm having this video be what it is right now with this title is the point. The title is the point. What people love about golden doodles or labradoodles or Maltipoos or whatever it is that is a poodle mixed with any other dog breed, a lot of what they love so much about this mixed dog is the pureness of the poodle. And they don't even realize this, maybe if they don't, but that's the case. You know, a lot of people love golden doodles nowadays. And I'm speaking so much on golden doodles because they are one of the most popular dogs to own in 2026, which is what year we're in currently. And it doesn't matter what breed it is mixing with any other breed, but the reason why these dogs get loved so much is because of the traits that are coming from the pure dogs that are mixed to get this mixed dog. And so a lot of people don't understand what a poodle is, but a lot of what they love in these mixed dogs that are mixed with a poodle is the traits of the poodle. Poodles have this hair that doesn't shed just about as much as human beings shed. You know, hairs will come out where they do, but poodles basically don't shed at all. Poodles are extremely intelligent. Statistically, somewhere around the second most intelligent dog as far as 2026. You know, poodles have extreme athleticism, and they're generally very healthy dogs. They're silly dogs, you know, in like a fun-loving, silly kind of way. They're extremely trainable, extremely obedient, which comes from their intelligence. And there's a lot to poodles that people love so much, even if they don't realize they love poodles. Because if you don't know what a poodle really is, a lot of people think of poodles as just these dogs that are used as show dogs, which is one of the reasons why people breed poodles. Let me get his shade fixed up for him again real quick. It's okay, Dante. Good. Good. You come. Well, yeah, it is the command to come to me, actually. A lot of people don't realize that poodles aren't just these dogs only that get bred to be show dogs, but that is one of the reasons. Poodles will be bred for their visual appearance, okay? Their hair coat and, you know, their body geometry and the way they look. And you've got these dog shows that are essentially beauty pageants. That's really what it is. That's how you'd explain what it is if someone doesn't know what a dog show is. As far as when they're having dog shows to show the dog visually for the way they look, it's like a beauty pageant for a human being. That's what it is, really. And so if people like dogs because they want an athletic dog, a hunting dog, a dog to go on hikes with them, and, you know, run, catch a frisbee or a ball, you know, play fetch, and they want like a pretty tough dog, they might look at the breed of a poodle and think, this is just a show dog. And they might not like it because they have an idea or a belief, a perception on what the breed is, and that's not the case. That's one of the reasons people breed poodles, is for the way they look. But the breed of a poodle originally started for different reasons. They were bred to be hunting dogs, and that's where a lot of their athleticism comes in. They're waterfowl retriever dogs at their root, you know. They're very, very capable dogs. They're dogs that'll take you anywhere you go, or anywhere you go, you can take your dog with you if it's a purebred poodle. And depending on the size too, you know, you've got small dogs and then medium-sized dogs and large-sized dogs. Standard is the large size of poodle, and they'll go on hikes, they'll do anything. Depending on the individual dog, they still have their personalities. You know, some dogs don't want to play fetch at all, and some other dogs love to. But poodles are just as capable as just about any other dog when it comes to what you think of a dog being, like, you know, a very capable animal. A lot of people just don't have this view on a poodle because of the way they look. So, yeah, you know, a lot of reason why poodles get mixed is because of their traits. And the thing is, a lot of people don't realize that these traits are coming from the poodle. When it comes to the breed of a golden doodle, again, it's not a breed, at least not as of today, in 2026, as far as I know, still isn't, you know, the 27th of March 2026, it's not its own breed. That's why it has two different names in its name combined. A golden retriever and a purebred poodle, it's a golden doodle. And I'm not just talking about that one breed alone, but specifically I'm touching on that pretty thoroughly because it is one of the most popular breeds, or again, you know, dogs. It's not its own breed yet, at least in 2026. And what I'm really saying with that is there are a lot of people that don't even know what a golden doodle is. They'll know what it looks like, and they'll know how to recognize one, or, you know, at least get close. Sometimes maybe it's a poodle, sometimes maybe it's a labradoodle, you know, or something like this that looks similar. Even me, I still, you know, confuse dogs. I'll think a dog might be a purebred poodle, but it's actually a golden doodle, or something like this. You know, I might think a dog's a golden doodle, but it's actually a labradoodle. A labradoodle, it's the same thing. It's a mix of a purebred poodle with a different breed, which is a Labrador retriever. But this is the thing, is what I was just saying about poodles having their root in their breeding stemming from being waterfowl retriever dogs, hunting dogs for birds, you know, to go retrieve the birds after the birds are hunted. This is the thing. Some of these most common poodle mixes are golden doodles or labradoodles. Now, the poodle, technically, at least in its ancestry of today's modern poodles in 2026, was bred to be a water retriever dog. A Labrador retriever is a water retriever dog. A golden retriever is a water retriever dog, like a water fowl. Fowl is another word for birds, you know, a bird retriever. They're hunting dogs, poodles. And so this is what I mean, is a lot of people don't realize what a poodle really is in its genetics, in its actual biology, in its breed. They just know, a lot of people only know, is what I'm saying, what these mixes are that they like. But the problem is, and not that we're focusing on the problem, but this becomes a true problem, really, is if we don't have a purebred poodle to be able to mix with a purebred golden retriever, you couldn't even possibly have a golden doodle. If you don't have a purebred poodle and a purebred Labrador retriever, you couldn't even possibly have a labradoodle. And whatever else we could say, we've got Maltipoo, which are Maltese and poodles. We've got Yorkie poos, which are Yorkshire Terriers and poodles. And but you could say anything really at all that you could possibly mix with the breed of a purebred poodle, any dog. And there's a lot of common mixes with poodles. That's what I'm saying is, you can only love these mixed breeds if they come from their purebred origins, or the mixed breed doesn't even exist. It's impossible for it to. It's in the literal name, you know? In the name of a mixed breed that's part poodle, it has something like doodle, which is the last part of poodle, or it has something like poo, which is the first part of poodle, you know? A Yorkie poo, a Maltipoo, or we have a Labradoodle or a Golden Doodle, and there's many, many, many other mixes. I'm not only saying these few for, you know, there's not a specific reason necessarily that I'm saying these few, other than these are some of the most common poodle mixes. What I mean is, there's any kind of mix you could possibly have with a poodle. Why are these dogs so commonly mixed, and why do people love them so much? Well, it has to be because of what they are. And the only way they are what they are is because of what dog breeds they're mixed with. What dog breeds literally came together to make this puppy of a mixed dog. That's the only way that puppy was able to even exist, is because of the purebred dogs that were mixed to get that puppy. So this is the thing, is why poodles are mixed. Well, yeah, why poodles get mixed, you know, so commonly is the point, is because they're amazing. And that's not me speaking out of my opinion. Evan Strong, the founder of In The Image Clothing Company, speaking behind In The Image Clothing Company poodles in this case. It's not my opinion just because I personally love poodles. I do, but the reasons are because of actual reasons, like factual breed reasons, you know, in their actual anatomy and biology and their genetics. That's why I love poodles, because they don't drool just about ever. They don't really shed just about ever. And they're one of the most trainable dog breeds on the planet, at least in 2026, being somewhere around the second most intelligent dog statistically across the earth and in this time period. Yeah, these are the reasons why poodles get mixed. It's not because people love what they think of as a golden doodle, you know, I mean, it's because people love the traits where it's coming from. They love the traits of the poodle, even if they don't know that that's what it is. They love the traits of the golden retriever, even if that's not what they know that it is, you know, and whatever breed it is mixed with a poodle. The reason why people love these mixes, those that do, I mean, a lot of people just will adopt a dog, for example, and maybe they don't really care so much about the breed, if you will, but they just, you know, adopt a dog from an animal shelter. But those that really, like, are, you could say, die-hard, you know, mixed dog fans, like these mixes, you know, that's mixed with a poodle, people who love the mix so much, the only reason they do is because of the purebred dogs it's coming from. Because that's the only way that breed exists, you know. So I think a big thing we need to really make sure we're always doing what we can where we need to do, right, under In The Image Clothing Company poodles, is really make it clear what a poodle actually is. Because this is our dog fourth of In The Image Clothing Company. And what we're doing here is we chose a specific dog breed to use to give information on letting dogs stay natural that applies to all dogs across the earth. And any animals across the earth that it would apply to as well. Things like pack mules or horses, when you place a halter onto them, it's like a slip lead or a collar and leash combo, harness and leash combo for a dog. And then just feeding and eating, sleeping, standing, walking, sitting, breathing, you know, hydration for the animals, the same things we discussed for human beings on In the Image Clothing Company's main side with allowing the body to work being our slogan. That's what we're doing when it comes to letting dogs stay natural on In the Image Clothing Company Poodles. Our information would apply to any animal, though, across the earth that it would. And so that's what we have done is chosen a specific breed, and what it is the standard size, which is the large size of the purebred poodle, to give our information through. And our information applies to all dogs. And so why we've done this, why we chose the poodle specifically, is because of all the reasons that we have. Okay, if you can see what I'm saying, there are a lot of reasons that the poodle is such an amazing breed. No matter what you prefer or what you like visually or temperament-wise in a dog, there's a lot of health that's in a purebred poodle. Purebred poodles are generally very healthy dogs. Okay, any dog can have any kind of health complication come up for any reason, just like any human being. But generally, they're extremely healthy dogs. They're very physically capable, very intelligent, great house dogs. They're great with kids. They're very, very clean. They're almost like cats in a lot of ways, the way that cats clean themselves. And then with poodles basically never drooling and basically not shedding at all, there's a lot of beautiful, beautiful, beautiful traits to the breed of a purebred poodle. And this is why poodles get mixed, because any dog that you would love, a dog breed that's not a purebred poodle, but maybe it sheds its hair coat or its fur, right? Some dogs have hair, some dogs have fur. Poodles are one of the dog breeds that have hair, and you have to cut it as the owner, or else it just continues to grow. Fur just stops growing at a certain length. Okay, it's just a different way that it grows between, you know, from dog to dog breed. But yeah, when it comes to any dog you love that's not a poodle, but you'd like to do what you could to see if you can get that type of dog, but maybe breed it with something that could maybe not have it shed, you'd maybe try to breed it with a poodle and see if you can get that gene trait of not shedding to come through your other dog breed. So now you've mixed a poodle, purebred, with a different, maybe purebred dog to try to get traits from both. This is why poodles get mixed, because how amazing they are. Opinions aside, we're talking about when it comes to the actual traits of the dog. Biology-wise, anatomy-wise, the athleticism that comes from the anatomy of the tall, long legs of a poodle. They're really fast, agile dogs, you know. When it comes to dog shows, there's dog shows that are for agility, not just for the looks of the dogs. There's dog shows where they have dogs do like tricks, if you will, but more like agility routines, kind of like if you were to be training for a sport, you know, doing routines for like football or something, and you're, you know, jumping through ladders or, you know, climbing up over something, even military drills. This is a lot of what they do at dog shows as well. Not only just the visual aspect of the dogs, but the athleticism. Poodles are one of the breeds that is, you know, very, very top percentile in winning these kind of dog shows as well, for the agility and the athleticism. It's in the actual anatomy. Like I'm saying, they've got these tall, thin, long legs and a very sleek, narrow body. They're very, very athletic. They're fast runners. They can maneuver quickly and easily. And that helps when you have a dog that you're taking on a hike in a place where, yeah, I mean, we just happen to be in this location for this video. We just do so much under the gift of video, under In the Image Clothing Company and all four sides. And, you know, in nature is a huge focus with living up Utah, the state of Utah here in the United States of America. But yeah, in an environment like this, you need a dog that's able to navigate this terrain in any kind of, you know, natural place. The breed of a poodle can do that. There's a lot of dog breeds out there that have really short, stubby legs, and you know, limited, lacking range of motion. They can't breathe very well. And the reason why I'm discussing this is because this happens through selective breeding by human beings. Because in the wild, your dog would have to be able to navigate the wild environment if they're going to live. Otherwise, they don't live, right? They get eaten by another animal, or they just can't be athletic enough to hunt, to get food, and they starve to death. And things like this are what make dogs in the wild so naturally capable and naturally generally healthy. But, you know, the breed of a poodle, with its athleticism that it has because of just the breeding and what the poodle really is and why it was bred in the first place, you know, people want to mix that with other dog breeds to get a healthy, athletic, capable dog. But now you've got health complications that can come because it's not pure, it's mixed with another breed, and you've just got parts of one dog and parts of the other. And so you actually lose some of that capability and, you know, temperament and health and all the things that are great about a poodle that you're trying to get into another breed that you're mixing it with. You lose some of that traits, and it's not as pure of traits once you've mixed it. So you get some of it, but not the fullness of it. So that's the thing, is a lot of reason why people love these mixed dog breeds that are mixed with a poodle is because of the breed of the poodle. That's how this mixed dog even exists, as I've said. I mean, that's the point. So, yeah. I mean, when it comes to keeping less dogs in shelters and more dogs at homes and advocating for being a good owner of a dog and how to, and these things under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles, a lot of this just starts before birth of the dogs, with doing all we can to breed healthy, strong, good genetic housing dogs. Otherwise, if you've got health complications in a dog, a lot of people don't know how to deal with it, or they don't have the financial means to, or they just don't really want to go through it, you know, emotionally, or just all that it takes to try to get this mixed, unhealthy dog that's, in almost every case of a mix, it's almost always more unhealthy than a pure bred dog. And so these dogs will end up in shelters because of this. And so the fix to less dogs in animal shelters isn't adopting dogs from animal shelters. If there was no dogs ending up in shelters to begin with, then you'd never have to adopt them. And so a lot of it just starts before birth with proper breeding. But, you know, we need some understanding of what's happening. Otherwise, we just don't know. As we say often under In the Image Clothing Company, we just don't know what we don't know, and we can't be held accountable for what we don't know. How could you, you know, be held accountable for something you don't even know anything about? And so a lot of people will just see this cuteness of a mixed dog breed, because some of these dog breeds are so cute. I mean, if you love a golden retriever and you love a poodle, you're probably going to love a lot of things, at least, about a golden doodle. If you love a Pomeranian and you love a poodle, you're probably going to love a mix between the two with a Pomapoo. I'm pretty sure that's what you call that, right? You've got a lot of cute dogs. You've got a lot of dogs with amazing traits. You've got a lot of dogs that are generally very healthy dogs. And so I get the appeal and the idea of mixing these dogs together that have great traits, but you lose some of each breed in the mixing of the two. And it's just not the same. It's not like you can take a really great dog breed and mix it with another great dog breed and amplify the greatness. That doesn't really happen. I mean, it can, it could, it does over generation and generation and generation. But as far as just a mix, like a one-time breeding mixed dog where you're not, you know, keeping track of the genealogy and you know, breeding the parents and the parents' parents and the parents' parents' parents and, you know, generation after generation within each dog's actual bloodline. If you're not doing that and you're just mixing dogs because you want to, right? Well, the point for this video's title is that's a lot of reason why poodles get mixed, because there's a lot of great things about them. And so that's a lot of what we're doing under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles. We don't put that much focus on the poodle, other than we just personally, as our company, In the Image Clothing Company Poodles, have poodles. I mean, our focus is just giving information that applies to all dogs. But yeah, I mean, that's the point. Is it doesn't matter what dog it is. Man, we just can't be mixing dogs and have them stay all that healthy, you know? But the reason why poodles get mixed is, anyway, that's what I was saying, that we put focus on under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles, is what a poodle really is, you know? So if you don't know, then you don't know, but they're not just show dogs. You know, they're not just dogs that look cute only, but sure, they sure do look amazing. You know, and I mean, I guess that's opinion, really, but, you know, yeah. They've got a lot in their breeding where there's just a lot to a poodle. It's almost kind of unfortunate that people put so much focus on something like a golden doodle, and maybe some of the only reason, really, in a lot of people's cases for doing that is just because they're so popular, because of how they get talked about. And a lot of these people would actually love a purebred poodle more than they would want a mix. Really. And the thing is, if they don't know what a purebred poodle really is, they might not think they're just about anything besides a cute looking dog. So yeah, I mean, when it comes to agility and athleticism, you know, sporting dog breeds, you know, way of looking at things, poodles are in the very top percentile of the most athletic, physically capable dogs. So I mean, there's a lot of reasons you could choose to have a dog, and a poodle will fulfill a lot of those reasons for a lot of people. But if you're just lacking the understanding of what the breed really is, then you might kind of overlook a poodle. Yeah. So anyway, why poodles get mixed? I mean, who doesn't want a healthy dog? You know, a very athletic dog. Well, maybe some people don't really care about it being athletic, but that plays into the health of the dog. You know, a dog that's athletic, it has to be healthy enough to be able to run and to jump and, you know, have good stamina. It's got to be healthy enough to do that. I mean, that's the point, you know. So there's a lot of reasons why poodles get mixed, and yeah, I mean, what I'm saying is we don't put all that much focus on just discussing the breed of a poodle, really, under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles. Other than when we breed our poodles, we'll just discuss how to do it properly. But again, that's just applying to any dog breed. Just if we're going to be the ones as human beings selecting which dogs to breed, we need to do it as properly as we can for the health of the dog. But, you know, I mean, at the same time, just the breed of the poodle it's amazing, you know, in so many ways. Man, people just don't really know where the genetics are coming from in these mixed dog breeds that they love so much, you know. And it's coming from where it's coming from. I'm just sitting here looking at Dante over here, just sitting in this grass. And yeah, so I mean, here's just some good points to hit. The purebred poodle is very, very similar to something like a purebred labradoodle. I mean, no, Labrador Retriever or Golden Retriever, or I mean, even in ways like your hound dogs. You know, you've got some hound dogs that are just very athletic and good swimmers, because poodles, they've got these webbed feet like these other water retriever you know, waterfowl retriever dogs do, they're extremely physically capable dogs, and they're just about at the same level as a lot of these other dogs that we think of as being very athletic dogs. But if you don't really understand that poodles are very athletic dogs, then there you go. Here's an airplane. Anyway, so there's a lot to it on why poodles get mixed. And one of the big takeaways from this video, if you want to really take some real solid good information from this, and why I'm really explaining this to begin with and having a video specifically titled this on In the Image Clothing Company Poodles on today's date, the 27th of March 2026, is because yeah, look at the most common dogs out there. I mean, that's the thing. Look at some of the most common mixed dogs, and if you took a, you know, statistic amount of, you know, which dogs get mixed with which other dogs, the poodle is one of, if not the most commonly dog breed to be mixed with something else. And so why is that, is the point. Why do poodles get mixed? Well, because of how great the breed of the poodle is. That's the reason why people want to mix it with other dog breeds. So, you know, just to be clear, because we do advocate for poodles, you know, we advocate for the importance of purebred dogs under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles, regardless of the breed. But, you know, if you want a dog that's a do-everything dog, that's the breed of a poodle. As we do under In the Image Clothing Company here, with our clothing, you know, human being clothing, staying centered, fitting correct, and being made in all the ways we can from 100% natural materials. Yeah, brandless on the exterior, you know, simple, minimal light. We call it do everything clothing. Our dog products will always be do everything dog products. And as I say, we'll breed our poodles to be do everything dogs. Well, if you want a dog breed that can do just about everything with you, that you can just go live your life and you can take your dog with you as you do it, a poodle is one of those breeds. Because a lot of people, they have dogs, and these dogs are amazing and great for certain things. I'm not trying to talk down on any dog breed, any purebred dog breed specifically, especially, right? No, there's a lot of reasons for dogs. What I'm saying is that there's a lot of different individual reasons for breeding dogs to become this new breed of whatever the purebred dog is that we essentially kind of made as human beings, like we did with the poodle, you know, over generation and generation after generation to make kind of this healthy new, if you will, breed. There's specific reasons for every single purebred dog that exists, you know, and it doesn't matter what dog breed it is. There's a lot of really great dog breeds out there, and they all have their different reasons for being what they are. But certain dogs you can't take with you just about everywhere. There's certain dogs that are amazing dogs as a hunting dog, or amazing dogs as just a companion dog in your house or your apartment. Certain dogs that are amazing at pulling weight, like sled dogs, like huskies. Certain dogs that are amazing at herding cattle or sheep, you know. You've got healers, you've got hounds, you've got, man, I mean, well, just any dog breed you could. The point is, there's so many different dog breeds that are specifically bred to do something specific. I mean, very, very, very well, but sometimes these dogs aren't that great at doing other things. And I'm not trying to, you know, compare in a way where it's like, I'm talking down on any other breeds, but a poodle is one of those breeds. It just really is, truly. I mean, you can, you know, statistically measure it, that is great at pretty much everything. It's a do-everything dog breed. That's why we use poodles. That's what I'm saying. Under In The Image Clothing Company, poodles. It's our dog fourth, but it's specifically poodles. And that's the reason why they get mixed with other dogs, because the thing with the poodle is you can have a poodle be a service dog, and you can take your poodle everywhere with you. Because if you get your dog certified as a service dog, then anywhere that doesn't allow dogs, but they do allow service animals, you know, with an actual proper certificate, well, some dogs just can't actually play that role. Even if they're amazing at something else, there's some dog breeds that just couldn't be a service dog in the ways that, you know, we generally use service dogs how we do. There's some dog breeds that just couldn't do that because in their actual genetics and their actual biology, in their breed, they're bred to do things that just don't really mesh with that type of lifestyle, you know, being able to go just about everywhere with you. So, you know, when it comes to service dogs or emotional support dogs and these type of, you know, working dogs, they just get taken anywhere that someone's going, and they're really good at doing it and just being calm, obedient, gentle dogs. Again, you've got individual personalities with dog to dog inside of each breed, but the general breed of a poodle, they're these type of traits: gentle and just, yeah, able to do just about anything. And so when it comes to which breed you statistically see being used as service dogs, well, I mean, yeah, a golden retriever is a big one. Labrador retrievers are big ones. Huskies actually are often used as service dogs, I've seen personally. But, you know, the highest percentile of which dog breed is used as a service dog or a dog in this type of realm of working dogs, like emotional support dogs, it's a poodle. You know, the very, very top percentage of the dogs that are used for that are purebred poodles. And so this is why people mix this breed with other breeds, because it's an amazing breed. Opinions aside on what you want in a dog, when it comes to a dog that can mesh with a human being, that's the point. We've got to remember these are just wild animals until we domesticate them. And if they're not able to work well with us, then it's not going to do us very much good to own these animals. Do you see what I mean? That's why we domesticate dogs, is so that they can do something for us. Or at least so they can just interact with us well, you know? Because we don't domesticate other animals that we just can't really benefit from having as pets or as, you know, employees, even, if you will. Like under In The Image Clothing Company, these are truly our team members. Our poodles, under In The Image Clothing Company poodles specifically, I mean, they're part of our actual company. They're team members of our team. And you can't have this with a dog that just can't do that well. And you can't blame a dog for not doing something well if it's in its actual breeding and physical biology and genetics to not do what you're asking it to do. You can't get after a dog for not doing something that it's just bred not to do, or for doing something that it's bred to do. You know, here's another airplane. I get it. Well, that was a big black bee. I'll wait for this airplane noise for just a little bit here. Hey, Dante, up. You come. Good. You are good. Good. Yay, good. Good. Good one. Yay. Good. Woo. Good. Yes, good. Good. Okay, so Anyway, yeah, those are the big points in this video, is just what are the real reasons the poodle exists to begin with? How did it come to be is really what I'm asking there, because it is what it is. There is such thing as a purebred poodle. You know, I mean, you can do a genetic test, take, you know, a blood test or a saliva sample of the dog, and you can find out that it's a purebred dog. And so what does this mean? Where does this come from? And why did it become what it is in the beginning? These are the reasons why the poodle is what it is. And then when it comes to why do poodles get mixed with other dog breeds? Well, it's these reasons. It's because of where the poodle came from and how it is what it is. The health, the physical capability, the temperament, the intelligence, the lack of shedding, the lack of drooling, and just the dog's love to please their owners. They call poodles clingy dogs. They love to just be right by your side. Again, you've got different, you know, personalities where you do in each individual dog, even within the same breed. But generally, poodles, they love to please their owners. And so as an owner of a dog, if you want your dog to be obedient, wouldn't you love them to already want to please you on their end of things? It'll just make training easier. You know, couple that with the intelligence the poodle has, and yeah, you've got amazingly trainable dogs. So these are the reason why poodles get mixed. These are the reasons. I mean, and there's so many more too. You know, we could discuss anything we could discuss with what the breed of the poodle really is. But, you know, what I was saying a little bit earlier in this video is a big takeaway that you can get, man, yeah, from this video is, if you love mixed poodles, take a look at the purebred poodle. And maybe you didn't really think so much about getting a purebred poodle, but maybe you didn't know enough about it to know what it really is. Because, yeah, that's a huge takeaway of this video. Let me wait for this truck sound. Yep. Yeah. I mean, because that's really the answer to this question. Why do poodles get mixed with other dog breeds? So often, so commonly, it's one of, if not the most commonly mixed breed with another breed, the purebred poodle is, okay? In 2026, at least, around this time period, the answer to the question really is because of how amazing the breed is. And so the big takeaway for this video is, look at them. If you're thinking about getting a dog, look at the purebred poodle. Because it might just fulfill almost every need you have in a dog. Unless you're looking for a very specific dog and you already know what you want. If you're just looking for a really good dog breed, and when I say that, I'm talking about well-rounded. When I say really good dog breed, I mean in just about every aspect of what the breed of the poodle is, it would score high on that chart of ranking of, you know, is it good at this thing or not? Yeah, the poodle is great at just about everything that we would be measuring a good dog at. You know, through breeding and domesticating dogs, the poodle, yeah, I mean, it's amazing. And so that's really the answer on why they get mixed so much. But the reason why that's an important thing to see is because, yeah, maybe you don't actually want a mix as much as you thought you did. You might want a purebred poodle, maybe not, but maybe, you know. And so just having some understanding of what it really is will help with that decision, you know. So the airplane noise, Let me give a few analogies here. Let's wait for the airplane noise, but I want to really make this very clear on what I'm actually saying in this video. More than just talking about some good things about the poodle, I want to make it really clear on what I'm really saying. Let me wait for this airplane though. Although it's literally looping right above us. So we've got cars, okay? Automobiles as human beings. This is a real beautiful way to see what I'm really saying and the reason for this specific video under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles, okay? Date marked, again, just to show congruency is a lot of the reason, you know, to show what we're really doing here, and yeah, kind of our insurance policy in the ways that it is. These videos we film under In the Image Clothing Company and any of the 4 sides that it is, yeah. This is the point, okay? 27th of March, 2026, In the Image Clothing Company Poodles. We've got cars as human beings, and you can look at specific car brands and models of cars, and they're so much more popular than other car brands and models. Now we can ask the question, why? It's like asking the question in this video's title, why poodles get mixed? Well, it's the same kind of question, really. You know, if we're asking, why is the poodle so great in so many people's eyes? Why is it something that's so commonly mixed with other dog breeds? And then the purebred poodle itself, why is it one of the highest owned percentage of dog breeds out of any dog breed? It's just like asking, why are certain cars, like actual cars, so popular? And other car brands and models, you know, maybe you just about barely ever see one of them. But there's certain cars that we know of that you see all the time driving on the roads in modern day 2026. You know, there's certain cars where you're like, yeah, I mean, I see maybe 30 of that kind of car a day, but only maybe 5 of these other cars. Why do you see so many more of one specific brand and model of car than all the other cars? It's because it's a good car. Reliability wise, capability wise, you know, the build quality and what the car can do for you as the person owning the car, that's the same with the dogs. Why are certain dog breeds so popular and so commonly owned and used for so many things, and in the cases of which dogs are, it's because they're good at it. They're healthy, they're capable, and they fulfill the needs of the owner. That's the reason. So that's my point that I'm making in this video. Well, maybe we don't call it my point, but that's the point that I'm making in this video. No matter what you understand currently about a poodle, or what you have had a view or an opinion or a belief on about what the poodle breed is, well, why is it so popular? Why is it one of the most owned dog breeds? You know, it's the top 10 most common dog breed to own around this time, 2026. It's around the 2nd most intelligent dog breed around this time in 2026. It's probably just about the, or if not the most, certainly one of the most common dog breeds to mix with other dog breeds around this time in 2026. And so why? See what I mean? That's where we need to come to with our understandings, because even though I personally, Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, love the breed of a poodle so much, it's not just because I have my own views and opinions on it that I love it so much. There are things like that that are personal to me on why I love poodles. But as far as me being the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, that's what I'm saying. It was a very, very specific choice out of any dog breed to choose the poodle, specifically the standard size of the purebred poodle, to use as our dogs when we're giving information on letting dogs stay natural for all dogs across the earth under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles. Because with our events that we do, where we get people together and you can bring your poodles, purebred of any size or mixed poodles of any size, here to the state of Utah is our location focus under In The Image Clothing Company. But poodle parade events, you know, when we're bringing all these dogs together, I'll say this more once the airplane flies overhead and gets a little bit quieter than it currently is, okay? Yeah. There's a lot to this. There's a lot behind the reasons why we're doing what we're doing under In The Image Clothing Company on all four sides. So let me explain some of this event-wise, right now at least. Okay, Mr. Airplane Pilot. It's looping. There's a flight school just a few miles from here. We won't be here all that long. Dante and I will move down to St. George, Utah, the very southernmost part of Utah, the true desert. Red rock, beautiful sandstone, hot in the summer, relatively warm in the winter. That's where we'll be based as In The Image Clothing Company for life, because I'm the founder of In The Image Clothing Company is why it matters where I'm moving to for you, if you want to know. We'll be away from this flight school is a big point, okay? But that's funny though, because yeah, yes, there's a lot more planes right here than just about anywhere else on the earth, because we're right next to where they're just taking off and landing all day, every day that they do that, you know? But yeah, with us filming so many videos outside is the point, you know, there's a lot of airplane noise around here, there just is. So, but yeah, that's a good piece of context for what I was saying, because St. George, Utah is where we'll be based. And when we get people into nature and dogs into nature through our poodle parade events, and you can bring your purebred or mixed poodles of any size, that's the thing, is when we're trying to bring a lot of dogs together, it can be kind of hard to do what we can to ensure, right, or just do what we can to try to be safe for both the human beings and the dogs that are all coming together. When we've got anyone coming from anywhere and any dogs coming from anywhere, if we're bringing people and dogs together like this, you really need to have a generally, as far as within the breed, good, well-behaved, intelligent, gentle to a degree at least, right, dog breed. Otherwise, that can be a dangerous thing. Bringing a lot of random people and random dogs together, you could have a lot of things happen that, you know, wouldn't end so well. Like dogs attacking dogs or dogs attacking people, you know, and this can happen where and if it does. But if we start with a really good breed, this is generally a really good breed of the poodle, and then we just have events where we bring purebred poodles or poodle mixes together, you know, and we can advocate for all of what we do with just this one breed, the breed of the poodle, and then the mixes as well of poodles that we, you know, allow to come to our events. What I'm saying is, you know, we need a good dog breed to do this with. You see what I mean? And so, yeah, it just is what it is. Because even within those mixes, there's a lot of beautiful traits coming from the poodle. There's a lot of beautiful traits in a lot of other dog breeds as well, right? So here's another point, and I get the airplane noise. I'm just pushing through it. We're just gonna document the information as of today's date is the big point, all right? Even if it's noisy, 27th of March, 2026. In the Image Clothing Company. Poodles, all right. Through the airplane noise, here's the thing. Yeah. The hair coat of the poodle is actually a very beneficial, versatile thing. That's why it exists. Again, we have to remember the poodle's only what it is because of where it came from. Selective breeding by human beings, why did they do this? Why did they make a poodle? Well, the plane is looping again. The airplane, it is. But I'll explain this when I get to it, all right? Man. Yeah. Man. Even when it comes down to the hair of the poodle, that's intentional within the breeding. The reason why the poodles got this hair to begin with is because when they were in the water as these waterfowl retrievers, this airplane is ridiculous. What I'm saying is when you're doing things that are real and that matter, things come up like this to try to like block you from doing it. You know, you got to push through stuff like this. I mean, I couldn't make it up. The amount of times this airplane's looping just right over where we specifically chose to sit here in this little basin area of just natural dirt. You see what I mean? It just is what it is. It's not like we chose to film this right next to an airport, you know? I mean, yeah, the flight school is just miles away, but you see what I mean? The time of when I started saying what I started saying in this video and things just happen. This is what it really means to push through things and just have things that are really real and that matter and that last be done. Sometimes you have to really work at it, you know? It's just about the documentation, but I gotta work through all the things I have to work through to get it to happen. And I get it, I could film these videos anywhere, but here's the point. When these dogs, the breed of the poodle, were being used, you know, and they still are used like that where they are, but in the foundation of the root of where they came from through the breeding as waterfowl retrievers, when they'd go in the water to retrieve the birds so that the dog's joints wouldn't get too cold, they bred the poodle to be able to have this hair that you could cut and leave it longer on the joints of the dog's legs, like their ankle joints and, you know, around their organs to keep their bodies warm. Insulation from the hair, that's really why this happened to begin with, through the breeding of a purebred poodle. That's why it happened. What I'm saying is that's applicable even if you're not using your dog to hunt birds with, okay, to retrieve birds, waterfowl. This is a very versatile thing. The ability for the poodle's hair to be at different lengths, because a lot of dogs, they'll just grow fur or hair to a certain length and it'll just stop. And you've got just about no choice on how your dog's fur coat is. In the case of dogs with fur that just grows how it does and just stays the same length. If you live in a really warm climate, you can cut your poodle's hair short. And then it's not excessively insulating them and they won't overheat from excessive hair. But if you live in a really cold climate, you can let your poodle's hair grow pretty long and it'll insulate their bodies and keep them warm, when otherwise that wouldn't be able to happen in a dog that just has a fixed length of hair to it. But then if you live in a climate like here in Utah, the majority of the state of Utah here, it fluctuates a lot. In St. George, Utah, it stays a lot warmer year-round than most any other part of the state of Utah here. And we'll be based in St. George, Utah is the point. But it gets very cold in the majority of Utah in the winter, and then it gets hot in the majority of Utah in the summer. You know, well below 32 degrees Fahrenheit in the winter. The airplane's looping again. Man. Not upset about it, but what, is that the 4th or 5th time it's looped right over our head? You know? It's just kind of hard to hear me through it, and the video is the point. Here it is again. I'm not joking. I mean, it's literally looping right over our heads. This doesn't normally happen. When I say there's a flight school, they don't normally just loop quite like this. I specifically tucked us down in this little basin to be out of the wind noise and, you know, a little bit quieter from the airplane noise. And then this happens. You see what I mean? It is what it is. It's a documentation, so I'm going to keep going through this video. But I've sure got some surrounding sounds that are loud. It's looping again. It's coming back overhead. I'm not complaining, but it is what it is. I'm dealing with it. It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, it's annoying, certainly. Man, that's crazy. I mean, it's a testament to how real this is, really, you know. That stuff that kind of stuff doesn't happen, you know, generally. It's when I start filming something, then things end up coming up, you know. The wind picks up, or airplanes start to fly overhead, and things like this. I'm serious. I mean, it really does happen. It's documented. You can see it. I'm not making it up. It doesn't matter either way. Don't believe me, but it just is what it is. It's annoying. Anyway, what I'm saying is, it fluctuates here in Utah. It gets really hot where it does, and it gets really cold, depending on if it's summer or if it's winter. I mean, it gets like 0 degrees Fahrenheit where it does, and relatively often in the winters here in Utah. It gets up around 100 degrees Fahrenheit relatively often where it does here in the summer in Utah. So the beautiful thing about well, I mean, you could say any breed of a dog with hair like this that you could cut to a different length than, you know, just a fixed length. But the poodle is one of those breeds, right? The purebred poodle is you can have their hair longer in the cold and then shorter in the heat and regulate their body's temperature through that as their owner. You know, that's beneficial for the dog. Would you believe me if I told you something that sounds crazy? Well, you don't have to. Truth is truth. The airplane's back. It's the same one. Okay? That's crazy. It's just been a real fight to get In The Image Clothing Company to where it is as of today's date, the 27th of March, 2026, in a lot of different ways. And so this is just a testament, like I'm saying, to, you know, one of the ways where it's hard to do things that are beneficial and impactful and, you know, permanent, like this documentation here, and like what we're doing under In The Image Clothing Company. So the point is, if you breed if you mix any dog breed with the breed of a purebred poodle, and you can get that hair coat to come through in your mixed dog breed, then you can regulate your dog's body temperature through the length of their hair, depending on what the temperature is where you're living and the time of year. These are the real reasons why poodles are so commonly mixed. That's really what's going on is, well, something has to be, for there to be a statistically higher level of poodles, you know, the amount of poodles mixing with another dog breed than just about any other dog breed. There has to be a reason to that. It's not just going to happen because of nothing. There's got to be reasons why it's happening. That's what I'm saying, is it's a lot of these reasons. There's a lot more reasons, if there are, where there are, that we could discuss. But I mean, the point really is, without me trying to like tell you, just because I love a dog breed, you should too, because they're so great, because I think so. There just truly is so many beautiful traits and just reasons for having a purebred poodle. There's a lot to it that makes it such a good dog in so many different ways of what you could measure a good dog as. And that's why they get mixed with other dogs, to have those traits come through. So anyway, there you go. I mean, that's really the bulk of the discussion on what we would need to say in this video, you know, for the documentation and the understanding of what's really going on here. Because when we advocate for the importance of purebred dogs, it's not a prestige thing, you know, and it's not an opinion. It's for the health of dogs. There's so much to dogs, and you only have to know what you need to know in your own individual situation about dogs. You don't have to go into the history of whatever dog breed you are into, or, you know all of the biology things happening in the dogs and the genetics and what's really going on to make your dog be what it is. You don't need to know this stuff unless you need to in your own situations. But, you know, I mean, it's happening. regardless, you know, there's so much to a dog is the point. You can't just get a dog from nothing, you know. I mean, you don't just haphazardly have a really good dog be bred. It's a very, very, very properly, intentionally done process for those that breed dogs and get healthy dogs from it. And that's what I'm saying is in our modern domesticated dog societies, we've got just a lot of, truly we can just say random dogs being born, you know, mixing. And there's those people out there, and we will be that, as in the Image Clothing Company Poodles. When we start to breed purebred standard poodles, that's the reason, to advocate for the health of dogs, because a lot of people don't know what it means to have dogs be bred. You know, you get dogs from a pet store or you get dogs from a breeder, and maybe you have no idea how it came to be the dog that it is. There's a lot that goes into it. Genetic health testing and golly, I mean, yeah, right? Just generation after generation after generation has to happen. Like tens of years after tens of years after tens of years, hundreds of years even, you know, in the cases that it is, to just get a healthy dog through selective breeding like this. So we have to realize this, because we can only love our dogs so much because they exist. Not only would these mixed dogs not exist without their purebred parents that came together to mix to become this mixed dog, the purebred parents wouldn't exist without our selective breeding as human beings from generation and generation and generation and generation back, because there was only the wild dogs that there were before human beings got involved. Any domesticated dog breed that exists, it's a very high probability that it's not even all that close to any wild dog. It's been done through human beings selective breeding. So that's the point. I mean, it's like what I say with clothing under In the Image Clothing Company's main side. You don't even have to care to want to try to care about clothing, but it's the only thing physically placed onto your body. It applies to you and it affects you directly. You don't have to care really about breeding of dogs and how it happens, but if you love dogs and you own a dog personally, the only reason you can even love dogs is because they exist, because they've come through breeding. The only reason you can own a dog is because it exists, because it came through breeding. The only reason our dogs can even live long enough to have a lifespan that really matters to try to own them is if they're healthy. The only ways dogs can be healthy is if they're bred, you know, just about as properly as we can do it. Otherwise, we have unhealthy dogs that just have a hard, complicated life when it comes to health complications, but then also just short lifespans. If they're not healthy, they're not going to live a long time, just like a human being. So yeah, you don't have to care, and this video certainly isn't just me, you know, pushing everyone get a poodle. No, not by any means. That's not what I'm saying. But it's me just giving context on the reason dogs breeds are so popular. The reason that the dog breeds that are so popular is because of proper reasons. It's health and ability, you know, capability and physical traits, intelligence, and all of these things that it comes from somewhere. It comes from breeding, or the dog doesn't exist if it wasn't born. That's what breeding means. I guess maybe I'll give some type of definition if you don't really know what breeding is. Breeding is when a dog and another dog have puppies. You've bred two dogs together. That's breeding dogs. You know, in the wild, just when dogs have puppies, that's breeding, you know. So yeah, it only happens how it does, or it doesn't happen at all. That's the point, you know. So just, I mean, really keeping all opinions aside is the point. Is why are poodles mixed so commonly? Because to get the level of ranking the poodle has in its, this is kind of just a recap, in its popularity of ownership, how many dogs out there are poodles that people own, to get its level of intelligence, right? How intelligent the poodle really is, to get its level of capability, how capable physically the poodle really is, and how healthy the poodle really is, and all of these things, in order to get this to be what it is. Wait for the noise. But in something we can label as a purebred poodle, this has come through generation and generation and generation of breeding. And then they'll take this beautifully bred dog and mix it with something else to get some of these traits. That's why poodles get mixed. That's why. So anyway, that's the point. I just wanted to give a fairly thorough discussion. I know this video has had a lot of surrounding sounds in it. I know, I have had things happen in this video that it didn't flow so perfectly through it. It doesn't matter if I'm saying it. I'm the one making the video. Do you see what I mean? It's just about the documentation, because there's reasons to this. I mean, that's the point, is truth is truth. There's always reasons behind everything. And the truth is, you can only like a mixed dog because where it's come from. It's only what it is. It only exists if it does. And how to get there? Well, the importance of purebred dogs. So anyway, there you go. That's the context I'll give. We'll get out of here as far as get out of this video. This has been a hard one to make. I know I've said similar things like this before today's date. I mean, even up until around a year ago, back in May of 2025, I filmed certain things, launching and announcing In The Image Clothing Company Poodles before I even adopted Dante here. The first standard poodle under In The Image Clothing Company's Poodles. Yeah, anyway, it is what it is. It's about the documentation. So, so people know what we're really doing as In The Image Clothing Company Poodles, because what does it mean to be a clothing company here under In The Image Clothing Company? Well, to get to the anatomy and functionality of the human being, because clothing is the only thing physically placed on us. What does it mean to let dogs stay natural here under In The Image Clothing Company Poodles? Well, really, doing all we can to keep our dogs healthy, because a healthy dog is a natural dog, really. It literally has to be, or it doesn't live in the wild. So, what does it mean to keep less dogs in shelters and more dogs at homes? Do all you can to breed healthy dogs before they're even born, okay? Choosing healthy parents to breed to have a litter of puppies. And how do you do this? Purebred dogs. Because you can't even further good bloodlines of dogs within a mix. Each time you mix dogs, it's a different thing than its parents. The only way you can continually further good bloodlines of dogs is breeding the same dog's children and children's children and the same bloodline generation after generation, without inbreeding and mixing, siblings together, because you need to diversify the gene pool. But it's only going to happen if we can keep it uniform, if you will, keep it proper generation after generation after generation. And that's how we can even say the words poodle or golden retriever or Labrador retriever or any dog breed at all. What's another pretty good healthy dog breed that we could mention? Something like a Schnauzer. These dogs, I mean, just the word of the labeling of the breed of the dog only exists because there's such thing as a purebred dog. So yeah, I mean, there's no prestige and there's no side to take on health of purebred dogs. That's what I mean. That's what we're doing under In The Image Clothing Company Poodles. No matter who it offends ever, who likes mixed dog breeds, it doesn't matter. You can only like your dog if it exists. It's only come from where it's come from. We just have to see the truth of it. Because the thing is, mixed dog breeders, there's people who breed mixed dogs, and there's people who do that as well as that can be done, really, too. There is, I get that. Certainly, I understand that. It's a good point to hit in this video because, yeah, I mean, people who are breeding a mixed dog breed, there's people who do this relatively properly and, try to keep the mixed dogs healthy in all the ways they can, and they do proper things like the technology we have to do genetic testing before we breed dogs, and and they try to keep up with the breed standard even within a mix, if you can see how that can be done, because that is how new dog breeds get made, is you have to first mix two different breeds to make a different one than either of the parents, you know. And yeah, that's happened with every dog breed that's come that didn't exist in the past. But yeah, the point is, we're going to only be doing this well if we choose proper, healthy dog breeds to mix. And a poodle is one of those proper, healthy dog breeds. So anyway, this is one of those things where we're just going to be discussing it forever under In the Image Clothing Company, you know. And so just giving this foundational understanding to explain, we know what we're doing here under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles. We really do. And the only way we do that is if we rely on God. The only way you can have healthy, natural dogs is to let them stay natural. You know, the more we step in as human beings to try to alter how dogs would naturally be, the more opportunity there is for unhealthy complications to come in our dogs. Because, you know, sometimes we pave our way to hell with good intentions, if you see what I mean. And we try to intervene in ways and in times when it's not a natural thing to do, when it comes through breeding or even surgeries, when sometimes we go too far just as human beings, trying to save dogs' lives when naturally they would have just died, and it would probably have been the best for them. Because even if we save their lives and keep them alive longer, maybe they're just really struggling and suffering to live and reliant on man-made medications and things like this. We just have to really realize what's going on. And this is what I mean when I say we know what we're talking about. Is, yeah, I mean, under In the Image Clothing Company, under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles, specifically here as one of our 4, there's 2 In the Image Clothing Company. What I mean when I say we know what we're talking about is we do all that we can here to put ourselves aside and get to God. There was always dogs until human beings domesticated dogs. There was always these wild canines, just these wild dog packs and breeds that just had been doing what they were doing for as long as they had until we started domesticating dogs. And then when we started domesticating dogs, that's when we started unnaturally selecting dogs to mix together through selective breeding. And so that's what I mean when I say we know what we're talking about, is we know how we have to approach things as human beings to have them work the best. And that's to rely on God, the one who's just having it all happen before we could ever even know it is happening. And then we could choose to step in from there. Do you see what I mean? If you don't, well, stick around, because that's the point. That's really what we're doing here under In the Image Clothing Company and all 4 sides. Yeah, I mean, that's the point. That's the point. So, anyway, man. Why dogs get mixed. Yeah. Well, I mean, going back to the analogy of a car, it's like, why do certain car brands and models get used when people modify cars and they make race cars or rally cars or off-road vehicles, you know, modified from just how the car was originally made? Why are there certain specific car brands and models that get used much, much more often than other ones to do these things with? It's because the root structure of the car design is a really good one. Just like the reason that people mix poodles is because the poodle's a really good dog to begin with. Alright, so I don't know why I just keep adding to this video, because there's part of me, just to be clear on how I'm feeling personally, that I just feel like I can't step out of this video yet. As I say, my heart's in it. When it comes to all the 4 sides of In the Image Clothing Company, In the Image Clothing Company Poodles, the reason why we're doing this here, from the very beginning at least, from me, Evan Strong, the founder, is because of my love for the breed of the poodle and because of my desire to have healthy dogs. I see so many dogs out there in shelters. Like I said, this specific standard poodle here, who's been in this video, Dante, he is a rescue from the South Utah Valley Animal Shelter. I don't know why exactly he ended up there to begin with. They said he just came in as a stray, but I don't know exactly all of what that meant in his case, you know, to get him there. But this is what I mean, is my heart's in it to keep less dogs in shelters. I mean, to keep healthy dogs, to keep dogs out of the veterinarian clinics. The reason this happens when it comes to dogs staying healthy is purebred dogs. That's the one reason. Out of anything you could ever choose to discuss on how to keep your dog healthy when it comes to, you know, sanitation, keeping them clean, you know, like bathing your dogs, or when it comes to feeding your dogs the healthiest diet you could possibly imagine, when it comes to exercise and giving your dogs all the, you know, natural motion you think you could give to them, and anything like this you could discuss to try to keep dogs healthy, which is really, in the ways that it is, synonymous with our slogan here under In the Image Clothing Company, letting dogs stay natural, because they have to be healthy in nature to survive. The highest number one thing out of anything you could ever choose to focus on to keep your dog healthy is the breeding. It starts before birth. You can change your dog's diet, what they eat, throughout their lifetime to try to make it healthier. You can change your dog's grooming throughout their lifetime to try to keep them cleaner or healthier. You know, in the ways that you bathe your dogs or shower your dogs or clean your dogs. And these type of things you can change throughout your dog's life to try to benefit your dog's health. But once your dog is born, your dog has the genetics that it has for the rest of its entire life. And if we have domesticated dogs that we have done as human beings and we've been the ones to choose, or because of our actions as domesticating these once wild dogs, we have dogs just accidentally, if you will, having litters of puppies that become mixed dogs because of that. You know, we have different purebred dogs mixing, or then you have even further down the lines of purebred, you've got mixed dogs mixing with other mixed dogs, and you've got a whole bunch of different dog breeds within one dog. What I'm saying is, this is the number one, and always has been, always will be, highest, biggest, impact-wise, and most important thing to put focus on when it comes to keeping dogs healthy is the breeding. Before the dog is ever even born, that's how you keep the dog healthy. That's how you keep the least amount of dogs in shelters and the most amount of dogs at homes, is before the dog is ever even born. By doing all that we can to breed healthy, pure, it's in the literal wording, pure bred dogs. So that's my point in this video, is that's what the breed of a poodle is. The breed of a poodle has lasted as long as it's lasted, as being as popular of a dog as it is. And all the traits of the poodle that are so beneficial are in the poodle. And only if we can keep this purebred poodle, and that happens every 15 years, if you will. If we're saying the average lifespan of a poodle is, well, somewhere around 12 or 15 years, give or take, we can get our dogs to live 15 years, you know? Each dog has its individual things that it deals with, but yeah, I mean, we can keep our dogs healthy, and in the case of a purebred poodle, they can live 15 years at least, you know, at closer to the high end of their lifespan, yeah. So what I'm saying is, every single 15 years, give or take, that goes by, that's an entire new generation of poodles on the planet Earth. That means if we went a full 15 years or a full lifespan of not breeding a purebred poodle, it wouldn't exist anymore. It truly would not exist. It's like human beings. Every, give or take, 100 years, maybe 80 to 100 years, we've got an entirely new population of human beings across the entire planet Earth. No human being that lived before the oldest one to live at the time is still here on the planet. From like right around 100 years ago, there's not a single human being on this earth that was here then. That's the same with these dogs. That's what I mean. We are advocating for the health of dogs under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles. And that's what we've been doing since the very, very founding, the very launch of what was at the very start just titled In the Image Clothing Company Dogs, you know. There's an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, for example, one of our fourths under In the Image Clothing Company, where we have discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ, titled In the Image Clothing Company Dogs, because that was at the very start of when we announced this, right around a year ago from today's date, the 27th of March, 2026. But yeah, we're on episode 204 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast as of today's date, the 27th of March, 2026. And it's just what it is. It's like I'm saying, you don't have to believe in anything or be religious in the slightest, but we're all human beings. We're all the same thing, placed on this same earth. We're designed by the same God. It just is what it is. It's like the dogs. It's a similar thing. It's very, very much basically the same thing. You don't have to care about breeding, but if you care about dogs, they're only here because of how they got here. Just like us as human beings. You don't have to have an opinion or a belief on what you think life is, but it's only what it is because, well, we're here. It's truth. Truth is truth. It's unchanging. It's apart from all of us. Nothing we get to decide or change as human beings. It's always been the same, and it always will be. Anything that is true in any case, truth is truth. It doesn't change. And so, yeah, the truth is, okay, there you go. Here's your wrap up. I've said that a few times in this, and I might keep going. We'll see. However long this is, it's just a documentation, because this is a beautiful explanation in this video, if I'm saying it, for the sake of my, if you will, company, In the Image Clothing Company, In the Image Clothing Company Poodles in this case. This is a beautiful documentation of what we're really doing here around breeding, and why poodles get mixed is, yeah, because it's taken a lot to get to what a modern day poodle is. And all of that work from generation after generation of human beings and dogs through the selective breeding of these domesticated animals, it has been a lot. A lot of work has gone into what we have as the modern poodle. The purebred poodle, and in our case, specifically the standard size under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles is what we specialize in. That's why these dogs get mixed so often, is because all the things I've said in this video. Hey Dante, come. It's a big video, all right, for me personally. It's important for me personally, as the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, to have sat here through all the airplane noise and the wind and just this discussion flowing and then not flowing if and where that was the case throughout this video. It's about the date marked, time-stamped documentation of the explanation of what we're really doing. So there you go. Okay, it is what it is. Shout out to Dante for being such a good dog, and we do what we do. In the Image Clothing Company Music, another one of our fourths, we show the sizing and setup of guitar to not alter things like the neutral wrist and the natural rounding in our hands. And we do lyricism, singing, spoken word, guitar playing, rhythm and poetry, okay, music, and all the ways we do, geared around the gospel of Jesus Christ with the messages. So, yeah, all that we're going to be doing with Poodles is going to be huge. And that applies to all the dogs across the earth that it does, because all dogs are extremely similar across the earth. It's just a canine, it's just a dog. Yeah, and then we've got the specific breeds within that, but that's what I'm saying is these kind of documentations, just the fact that it's been documented is the point, under our 5-word company name, In the Image Clothing Company. So where our values are set, and why we're here to begin with at the beginning, as far as the dates too, see? So anyway, we'll do a lot, things for the environment, like clean the creek or rid the rubbish, specific subcategories of poodle parade events. When you do, if you do, bring your purebred poodles of any size or mixed poodles of any size to In the Image Clothing Company's poodle parade events. We'll pick up trash for the environment, come for the events and the reason we're having them, not for In the Image Clothing Company's team. But we're just gonna do a lot with this. And so, as I say, with a lot of these foundational documentations under In the Image Clothing Company, these are the reasons that we're credible, and these are what helps us just go forth and stay credible, is because of the longevity of us been saying the same things, yeah, since the very founding. And you know, you can reference back to it so you can see that we've got time and experience doing what we say we do here. And, you know, there you go. Ah, shoot. It just is what it is. Because I personally, you know, you don't have to care about my opinion other than this gives some good contrast on me speaking as harsh as I do. Basically, we could say against mixed dog breeds. I personally love mixed dog breeds. Where I do, as far as which specific dog, there can be some really healthy dogs, even though they're mixed, for sure. And there can be some amazing dogs, extremely cute dogs, and you've got like quirky dogs, you know, which can be great in a lot of ways, actually, because you get very unique dogs through mixing breeds, because you get temperaments from one breed and temperaments from the other. And I understand that not in every single case do you get an unhealthy mixed dog breed. You can have mixed dog breeds outlive purebred dog breeds, and it happens where it does, you know, fairly commonly. But the point is, if we just only ever mixed dogs, every dog would be extremely unhealthy. We'd have just random dogs all over the place, and we couldn't regulate anything. You know, we just have so many more dogs than we'd need. You know, in a lot of places it's mandated and it's a legal thing that you have to neuter your dogs or spay your dogs, you know, fix your dogs, if you will, to make it so they can't have puppies. Or a lot of places maybe it's a law where you can only have a certain amount of litters per dog or something like this, meaning there are laws in a lot of places where, yeah, there's an overpopulation of dogs. You've just got stray dogs all over the place, and it becomes unhealthy. And those unhealthy dogs can transfer into the human beings. You know, you've got these really, really unhealthy dogs living in societies with and around human beings. That's what purebred dogs does, is it regulates dogs, regulates the health. It's about the health. I mean, bottom line, it's about the health. No matter what else, that's what it is about. So, and you'll see that, you know, you see that where you do, if you really start to look at it as it is and see statistically which dogs are healthy. Certain dogs are much healthier than certain other dogs in just about every case of those specific dogs, you know. So, what? Good stuff, huh? Good documentation. Good documentation. So, anyway, yeah, we'll do all that we can to breed poodles properly under In The Image Clothing Company Poodles. We'll do it under what we do so much of, the gift of video, as I call it, because it's a gift, because then you can see the process of what it means to do all that we can to do it properly, and see what it means to even have any kind of intention to do something like this properly, you know, because it can just be done so differently in our modern domesticated dogs than it would ever be done in the wild. You know, in the wild, the mother dogs are teaching the babies, you know, the puppies, how to hunt and how to stay away from dangers and how to find water and just how to navigate their environment. You know, all these things the mother dog teaches the puppies in the wild, and they're doing it in this natural environment that they just would be in. And so we've got to emulate that, at least to a degree, with our domesticated dogs. Even if they're going to be growing up and living in our man-made society, they still need to be taught how to be a dog, you know, and they still need to be given just, yeah, a good life. If you can tell, my heart is in this big time. Like, that's why I'm doing this, is because of my love for the dogs and you know, the well-being and the health of them. It's been that way since the very founding. That's the point. Why we added In The Image Clothing Company as one of our fourths around a year ago. Under In The Image Clothing Company. Okay, from today's date, the 27th of March, 2026. So, anyway, hey big boy. What do you think? It's good? It's good. Good, yeah? So, yeah. furthering good bloodlines of dogs, you know, purebred. But why poodles get mixed is something you'll understand if you check out what we're doing under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles, because you'll get to see a lot of context of poodles. As I was saying earlier in this video, if you don't really understand very much of what the breed of a poodle really is, we're going to make that very clear just throughout our life and time as In the Image Clothing Company Poodles, with all that we do. All of our team members poodles, all of our poodles we breed under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles, and just, you know, all the things we discuss, and people we work with, organizations we work with, and companies we work with, just in all the ways we do under In the Image Clothing Company. On any of the 4 sides, if that's the case, you can see what we're really doing through that. But when it comes to just being able to see our poodles, you'll get a really good idea of what the breed of a poodle really is capable of, and you get a better understanding of it, you know. And then you can see why poodles get mixed with other breeds, because people want the traits from a poodle. That's why. That's why people love these dogs that are so common that are mixed with poodles, is because of the traits from a poodle. That's why. That's how it even exists at all, you know? So, you might want a purebred poodle, maybe, you know? And you might just not know it. Yeah. I mean, they're just great. They're just, again, you know, individual dog to individual dog, it varies, but they're great. I mean, look at Dante here in this video. Not a single bark. He's not running off, doing his own thing. He's just calmly sitting next to me, you know? Amazing family dogs, like I was saying, but amazing adventure dogs. Healthy, generally. I mean, we could just sit here all day and I could just, you know, kind of love on the breed of the poodle, if you will, because, yeah, they're awesome. People know it, even if they don't really know it, you know what I mean? So, yeah, it's one of those videos I just want to kind of sit on for a while on what we're really doing here, because it's going to be huge. I mean, you'll see. Don't let me try to claim anything. That's what I mean. I say it often and clearly, you know, under In the Image Clothing Company. Don't believe us. Don't believe me, Evan Strong, the founder, any of our team members, even any of our poodles with any of our information. Don't believe us, because truth is truth. But that's what I mean, is you'll see the truth of what we're doing here if you don't already. And it's just, it is what it is. All right, Dante, let's get up. Oh, man. Good, okay? Good. All right, thank you. 27th of March, 2026. In the Image Clothing Company Poodles.